On the clear, moonlit evening of October 17th, 1991, Pan Am Flight 1174 was crossing the Atlantic from London Heathrow Airport en route to a scheduled 11:37 p.m. arrival at Baltimore Washington International Airport. A Boeing 747 aircraft, Flight 1174 was carrying 435 passengers and 7 crew members. All flight operations were normal until 10:38 p.m., when Flight 1174 pilot Captain Richard Hampton contacted the Philadelphia International Airport and requested confirmation on the flight's position. The given position matched the aircraft's own readings, but 8 minutes later, Hampton requested confirmation again. Once more, the provided position matched onboard instrumentation, but Hampton expressed doubt in the heading he was getting from the cockpit. At 10:51 p.m., Flight 1174 was able to contact Baltimore. Hampton stated that, by the position of the moon, he should be flying in a northwesterly direction, but his compass was indicating a southwest course. Baltimore Air Traffic Control confirmed radar contact of Flight 1174 heading southwest on proper approach to the airport. Hampton sounded confused and insisted that all 3 members of the cockpit crew agreed that the aircraft must be traveling northwest. The controller assured Hampton that he was on course and to maintain current direction, altitude, and speed. At 11:04 p.m., Hampton radioed that he was seeing, quote, broken land, unquote, below him in the moonlight, pieces of land separated by either lakes or rivers. The pilot asked if the aircraft had drifted towards either the Atlantic coast or the northern Chesapeake Bay. The controller gave Flight 1174's position as crossing over southeastern Pennsylvania, and that no significant bodies of water should be beneath the aircraft. At 11:12 p.m., Hampton, clearly agitated, reported a red glow on the horizon in front of the aircraft. The controller requested further details, but Hampton sounded as if he was talking to other crew members and apparently failed to hear or ignored this request. Moments later, Hampton frantically began to describe a, quote, strange face in the sky before a high-pitched whine cut across the channel. The tone lasted for approximately 38 seconds. At 11:15 p.m., Baltimore radar showed that Flight 1174 had made a sharp turn to the east and was heading back out to the Atlantic Ocean. All further attempts to contact Flight 1174 by radio failed. Fearing that the aircraft may have been hijacked, the controller issued a state of emergency to the FAA, and all other civilian flights that were near 1174's position were diverted. At 11:36 p.m., the U.S. Air Force scrambled 2 F-16s from Dover Air Force Base to intercept Flight 1174. At 11:57 p.m., the F-16s made visual contact with Flight 1174. Major Jeffrey Nandel, who was piloting the lead fighter, reported that the 747 was flying level and showed no signs of exterior damage. Over the next 94 minutes, the F-16 shadowed the aircraft. Nandel was able to maneuver close to both the port and starboard sides of the aircraft. All but a handful of the window shades had been drawn down. Those few partially open shades were emitting a dim, reddish glow and were smeared with some unidentified substance. Just below the windows, deployed breathing masks could be seen hanging from above. A scan of the cockpit revealed no sign of the pilots, but what might have been blood was splattered across the 2 forward seats. All attempts by the fighter pilots to communicate with anyone on board 1174 failed. At 1:31 a.m., Flight 1174 began to pitch downward, and the F-16s pulled away for their own safety. Plummeting over 26,000 feet, Flight 1174 crashed into the Atlantic a few moments later. The F-16's pilots witnessed the fireball and reported the position of the crash site before returning to base. At 3:13 a.m., helicopters launched from the nearby naval vessel USS Bataan arrived at the site. The amount of floating wreckage was unusually small. No bodies were seen floating in the water. The crash of Pan Am 1174 resulted in the presumed death of all passengers and crew, though no human remains were recovered. Only 55 cubic meters of wreckage, mostly material from the tail section, were extracted from the waters below the crash site. Material showed above average, but non-lethal, amounts of radioactivity. Neither the flight data recorder nor the cockpit voice recorder were ever found, and the crash remains unsolved to this day.